As the episode begins, we see Twilight reading a book and looking the most adorable that I've ever seen. Seriously, if you want to convince someone to start reading, skip Read It and Weep and just show them this image. Just then, Pinkie Pie teleports behind the bookshelf because she's bored, I guess. After briefly mistaking her for Jason Voorhees, Twilight says that she's studying genealogy, which makes Pinkie curious about her own family record, and she discovers, amazingly enough, that she might be distantly related to Applejack. The rest of the Apple family gets excited, but AJ tries to calm everyone down. After all, they can't just have sex with anyone who claims to be related to them. They have to make sure it's true first. However, it turns out the one part of the record that would actually prove the connection is unreadable. Apparently, Pinkie only saw the names of an Apple family member and a Pie family member and jumped to a conclusion from a hunch. Fortunately, there's an Apple relative nearby named Goldie Delicious, who has another copy of the family records. That name sounds familiar.
This here's apple fritter, apple bumpkin, red gallop, red delicious, golden delicious, caramel apple.
Wait, that character from the pilot episode? Huh, that's a pretty obscure reference to make, but okay. As they're getting ready for the trip, Applejack tells everyone to be on their best behavior because if it turns out that Pinkie is related to them, AJ wants them to leave a good impression on her. To which Apple Bloom says, "Why, of course I'll be on my best behavior. Now look at my butt." And with that, they're off. And we get another song. And goodness help me, I can't stop humming this thing. Now, given my lukewarm reaction to Raise This Barn and my previous statement that I don't like country music, I feel like an explanation is in order, because there was some stuff going on that influenced my opinion of Raise This Barn, but I'll save that for a follow-up video. In a lot of ways, Apples to the Core really feels like the definitive Applejack song. I just have a couple of issues with it. The first is with Granny Smith singing. It hurt my ears, and I had to listen to that segment a couple of times just to figure out what she was saying. I'm sorry, but Big Macintosh didn't get a solo, so you could probably justify leaving out Granny Smith too. My other problem was with Pinkie's lyrics. Now, Pinkie has been involved in quite a few musical numbers over the course of the series, but this is the first time that it felt like she was just making the words up as she went. And maybe that was the intention, and I can kind of see what they were going for. I just don't think it worked out all that well personally. Anyway, as soon as the song ends, the jalopy wagon falls apart. Pinkie suggests they could travel by river, and Granny Smith says they could build a raft using sugar pine sap for glue. There's just one problem with that. Remember the Cutie Mark Chronicles when the Crusaders got covered in tree sap? Let's see, how did they get out of that again? Oh yeah, they washed it off with a bucket of water. So it might be fine for hanging up a squirrel here and there, but building a river raft is quite possibly the worst thing you could ever use it for. For a while though, the raft holds together well enough, and during this time, the episode is mostly held together by its comedy. Yes, this is one episode where Pinkie's humor is used very well. There are also a lot of quick cutaway gags that really force you to pay attention, and of course, there's the Twilightlicious reference, which I actually saw as more of a shout out to Black Griffin, the artist responsible for the Twilightlicious animation. He has since become friends with the Kreber family and has collaborated with Michelle Kreber on a number of projects. So to have her character make this reference was really fitting. Anyway, the raft eventually breaks down, but finally they make it to Goldie's house, who apparently isn't the character from the pilot episode. Instead, this Goldie Delicious is a hoarder and a crazy old cat lady. It's also been suggested that she has enough similarities to Pinkie to not only prove that Pinkie is related to the apples, but also that this might be a hint at how Pinkie will end up in the future. That really scares me. In any case, Goldie looks through her copy of the family history, but it's also unreadable. And so everyone goes home, and AJ tells Pinkie that even if they'll never know if they're actually related, she'll still consider Pinkie to be an honorary family member. Oh, bullshit! I am calling so much bullshit on this ending. Now, they did the same thing with Scootaloo in Flight to the Finish, failing to answer whether she was actually disabled or just going through an awkward growth spurt. But here's the difference. That was the second episode ever to focus on Scootaloo. It was the first time the show directly addressed the issue of her not being able to fly, and there was a whole other story going on that was being affected by her attitude. In that instance, there's still plenty of room for development later, and the situation was set up so that her deciding that not being able to fly simply doesn't matter right this very moment was a legitimate option. But we've known since Super Speedy Cider Squeezy 6000 that the main six already consider each other to be honorary family members. The only way you could develop that anymore more is to find out if they're related for real. And that was the only goal this episode had. And besides that, saying they'll never find out just feels like a lie. The Apple family's huge. Are you really telling me no one else has a copy of the family history? Are you really telling me that they're all going to be completely smudged? Unless there was some freaky unicorn Xerox accident. It's a real shame too, because otherwise, this was a really good episode. I love the dynamic between the Apple family. There's a good song. Big Macintosh gets a lot more development, even though part of it made me yell fuck you to Granny Smith. And Pinkie Pie is in top form, except for the play bickering at the end. I do feel like there was a wasted opportunity to explore things from Pinkie's point of view, since we know that she grew up on a farm and she did not have a happy childhood. Even in Magical Mystery Cure, when she thought she belonged on the apple farm, she was completely miserable. But really, that's more like a nitpick. It's that cheap, non-committal, cop-out ending that really pisses me off about this. Pinkie Apple Pie gets a 7 out of 10. Hey everyone, if you like this video, be sure to support me on Patreon. There's a link in the description below.